In the kingdom of Selune, where the nights were brighter than the days, there stood an ancient palace carved from pale marble and crowned with silvery spires that pierced the sky. From a distance, it looked as if the moon herself had fallen to earth and scattered her light across the rooftops. High in the tallest tower, behind a balcony hung with drapes that shimmered like liquid pearl, there lived a young princess named Aeloria. Her hair gleamed as pale as frost, her skin glowed with the soft radiance of moonstone, and her eyes with the deep, starless blue of the sky before dawn. Some whispered she was no mortal child at all, but a blessing bestowed upon the royal line by the moon herself. Aeloria had never been beyond the palace walls. By decree of her father, King Thaloran, she was to remain in her chambers each night when the moon rose. She had asked 1,000 times, and always the answer was the same. For your safety, my daughter. There are secrets in the darkness that even a princess must never awaken. But Aeloria felt a yearning that no caution could extinguish. Each night she climbed onto her balcony and watched the moon, perfectly round and brilliant, as if it were a silent eye looking back at her. Sometimes she thought she could hear a voice calling her name, soft as a sigh, promising answers she had never dared to imagine. On the eve of her 16th birthday, a new restlessness settled over her. She paced her chambers long after her handmaids had left her alone, feeling as though some hidden clock had begun to count down. She stopped in front of her mirror, studying her reflection. She looked no different than she had yesterday or any other day, but something inside her had shifted. That night, as she stood on the balcony with her heart fluttering like a captive bird, a silver glow emerged from the shadows of the garden below. She leaned forward, straining to see. There, nestled among the moonflowers, something gleamed, a narrow shape, bright as starlight. Aeloria's breath caught. Without thinking, she slipped through the balcony door and descended the hidden staircase spiraling down the tower. The moment her feet touched the grass, she felt a strange energy coursing up her spine. The moonflowers parted before her as if they recognized her presence. In the center of the garden lay a silver key. It was long and slender, its teeth carved with runes that shimmered and rearranged themselves. When she tried to read them, when she reached for it, the metal was warm against her palm. A tingle shot through her fingertips and settled in her chest, where it pulsed in time with her heartbeat. Suddenly, she knew without understanding how that this key belonged to her. A voice drifted through the garden, low and melodic, like the song of some ancient river. At last you have come. She spun around. No one stood behind her. The voice seemed to rise from everywhere and nowhere at once. Who are you? She whispered. A friend, the voice replied. And your guide. You have waited long enough. Princess, the time has come to reclaim what was stolen. Aeloria clutched the key to her chest. Reclaim what? The truth of your birth, the secret of your power, and the path that will lead you home. She felt the world sway around her. I don't understand. You will, but not here. You must find a hidden door, the one that has been sealed since the night you were born. Only the silver key can open it. Where? She asked, her voice trembling. Beneath the palace, in the forgotten crypts. Follow the path of moonlight. It will show you the way. Aeloria looked up. The moon hovered directly overhead, its silver light falling in a narrow beam across the garden, illuminating a trail she had never seen before. Pale stones, set into the grass in a winding line, led toward the old chapel at the palace's edge. Her heart pounded. She had never been allowed near the chapel. It was said to be the resting place of her ancestors and the prison of their darkest secrets, but she knew, without a doubt, that she had to go. Gathering her courage, she followed the path. Each step seemed to echo with destiny. The chapel door was carved with a sigil she had never noticed before, a crescent moon wrapped around a key. She pressed her hand to the wood, and it swung open without a sound. Inside, the air was cool and perfumed with incense. The walls were lined with statues, kings and queens long dead, their stone eyes watching her as she crept past. At the far end stood an altar of white marble, inlaid with silver runes that glowed as she approached. Aeloria traced the symbols with her fingertips. As she did, the key in her hand began to vibrate. One by one, the runes lit up, until the whole altar blazed with moonlight. A seam appeared down its center, and the slab began to slide apart. Beyond it yawned a dark staircase spiraling into the earth. The voice returned, gentle but urgent. Below you will find the door. Do not be afraid. She swallowed hard. She was afraid, but she knew she would go anyway. With the silver key clutched tight, she stepped into the darkness. The steps seemed to descend forever. The air grew colder, each breath tasting of old stone and secrets. The walls shimmered with veins of mica that caught the moonlight spilling from above, casting shifting patterns on her skin. At last, the stairway ended in a narrow passage. Aeloria moved forward slowly, her footsteps hushed by the thick layer of dust. She felt as if she had slipped out of time itself. Nothing lived here, no spiders, no mice, no whispers of wind, only silence. And then she saw it, a door wrought of pale silver, etched with a great crescent moon. The same symbol gleamed on the key in her hand. Aeloria drew closer. Her heart thudded so hard she felt dizzy. With trembling fingers, she raised the key to the lock. The moment the metal touched the door, A thrill of energy shot through her arm. The air rippled around her. Light poured from the engraved crescent, washing over her face, her hair, her body until she felt weightless. Then the door swung open. Beyond it lay a chamber like nothing she had ever imagined. The walls were seamless silver, curved into a dome. In the center rose a pedestal, atop which floated a crystal sphere glowing with a soft, inner luminescence. Aeloria stepped forward. The light brightened as she drew near, as though the sphere recognized her. Reflected in its polished surface, she saw not only her own face but 1,000 others, women with her same moon-pale hair and star-dark eyes. Generations of queens, stretching back into the mists of legend. And then she heard her mother's voice. "My darling, if you are hearing this, then you have come of age." Aeloria's throat closed. Her mother had died when she was born. She had no memories of her, only faded portraits and stories whispered by her nurses. But now her voice surrounded her, warm and sorrowful. "I am sorry that I could not be with you, that I could not tell you the truth before now. But you must understand, your birth was not only a blessing, it was a threat to those who fear the old power." Aeloria sank to her knees. Tears welled in her eyes. "You are the last daughter of the Moonline," her mother continued. "In your blood flows the power to open the gate of Silver Dawn, to renew the bond between our world and the Moon Kingdom. When you were born, that bond flared bright. It was too dangerous to leave you unprotected. So the key was hidden, the door sealed, and you were kept within the palace, safe from those who would take your gift." Aeloria's mind spun. The Moon Kingdom, the gate of Silver Dawn. She had thought those were nursery tales. But now, my love, you must claim your birthright. The darkness that hunted me will soon return. Only you can keep the door between worlds from falling into their hands. The crystal sphere, a vision unfolded within it, a great arch of silver standing atop a windswept plateau, its keystone carved with an immense eye, shadows seethed around it, vague shapes of claws and wings. And overhead, the moon burned like a beacon. "You must find the gate," her mother whispered, "and when the time comes, you must open it. Only then will our people be free." The light began to fade. Aeloria reached out as though she could catch her mother's voice in her hands. "Remember, my daughter, your heart is stronger than any darkness, and you are never alone." The chamber fell silent. The crystal sphere dimmed to a soft glow, like the last embers of a dying fire. For a long time Aeloria remained kneeling, unable to move. The key felt heavier now, as though it had absorbed the weight of her destiny. When at last she rose, she knew nothing could ever be the same. She turned toward the doorway. A shape waited in the shadows, a figure cloaked in silver, face hidden by a hood. "You have heard the truth," the figure said, voice as soft as falling snow. "Are you ready to begin your journey?" "Who are you?" "I am your guide," the figure replied, "the one your mother entrusted to watch over you." The figure raised a hand, and pale fire danced across the silver palm. "Come, princess. There is much you must learn." And with that Aeloria stepped forward, leaving the chamber and her old life behind. Aeloria followed the silver-cloaked figure through the winding passageways beneath the palace, her footsteps muffled by ancient stone. She wanted to speak, to ask 100 questions, but something in the air held her quiet, something sacred, like standing in the presence of an old truth. The figure moved without sound. Wherever their fingers brushed the wall, silver light shimmered briefly, guiding their path like constellations. At last they reached a low archway, behind which stood a door of black stone marked with 7 stars. "This is the last threshold," the figure said, voice echoing softly in the chamber. "Once you pass through, the world will no longer recognize you as a sheltered princess. You'll be something more, something ancient." Aeloria glanced down at the silver key in her hand. It glowed faintly, pulsing like a living thing. "I don't even know your name." The figure hesitated. Then they drew back their hood. Underneath was a face that shimmered like a reflection in water, neither fully male nor female, neither young nor old. Their eyes were twin pools of starlight, deep and endless. "My name is Celia," they said. "I was once the guardian of the Moon Gate. Now I am yours." Aeloria nodded, heart pounding. She stepped forward and pressed the key to the door. A chime rang through the stone, pure and high, and the door swung open. Beyond it lay the night. It was a world entirely different from the palace she had known, a vast forest bathed in eternal twilight, where silver leaves rustled in a breeze that carried whispers. The air shimmered with tiny glowing motes, and the trees rose high above her, their trunks twisted like columns of smoke. "This is not part of the kingdom," Aeloria breathed. "No," Celia replied. "This is the border between your world and the ancient realms, the place where dreams and memory intertwine. The path to the Moon Gate lies hidden here." They stepped into the forest together. Immediately, Aeloria felt a shift, as though she had stepped into a place that remembered her. Birds with luminous feathers flitted overhead, their songs weaving melodies that danced along her skin. Strange flowers bloomed where her feet touched the ground. She looked at Celia, but they only smiled knowingly. "The blood of the Moonline awakens the land," Celia said. "You were meant to walk this path." As they traveled deeper into the forest, the trees grew thicker and shadows darker. They passed ancient ruins, swallowed by moss arches and pillars engraved with lunar runes. Celia explained that these had once been outposts of the Moon Kingdom, abandoned when the gate was sealed. How far is it to the gate? Aeloria asked. It lies beyond the 3 trials, Celia said. Only those who pass them may reach it. What are they? Celia looked ahead. Not what, but who. The guardians of the moon path. They will test your heart, your mind, and your soul. Aeloria felt a chill run down her spine. And if I fail, then the gate will remain closed, and the darkness will win. They walked on in silence, each step heavy with the weight of fate. By nightfall, or what passed for night in this place of eternal dusk, they arrived at a clearing ringed by obsidian pillars. In the center stood a pool of water, perfectly still. No stars reflected in it, only a silver haze. Celia stopped at the edge. The first guardian awaits. A shape rose from the pool, a woman with silver hair and a gown of shadows, her face hidden behind a mirror. Her voice rang like crystal breaking. To pass, you must look into the mirror of memory and face the truth you fear most. Aeloria stepped forward, heart hammering. The pool rippled, and an image formed. Her father, King Thalarin, standing over her crib with tears in his eyes. She must never know, he whispered to a cloaked figure beside him. The truth will destroy her. The image shifted, her father burning old scrolls, locking away the crystal sphere, ordering guards to wall off the chapel. No, Aeloria whispered. He was protecting me. But another memory surfaced, her young self crying alone in her chamber, staring out at the moon, begging for freedom she never received. You were a prisoner, the mirror woman said. Will you forgive him, or carry this wound as a weapon? Aeloria trembled. He made choices, out of fear, but he loved me. She raised her hand to the image and let the tears fall freely. I forgive him. The mirror shattered without a sound. The guardian bowed. You have passed. Celia led her to a stone maze carved into the side of a hill. Mist coiled along the ground. As soon as she stepped inside, the walls closed behind her, and Celia disappeared. Immediately, the whispers began. She doesn't belong here. She's just a girl. She will fail, as her mother did. The walls shifted with every step. Shadows danced in the corners of her eyes. Her thoughts turned against her, doubts rising like smoke. What if I can't open the gate? What if I'm not meant to? Aeloria pressed her hands over her ears. I am Aeloria of the Moonline, she said aloud. My voice is my own. The maze shifted violently. A new path opened. She ran forward, whispering a chant she didn't know she knew words in the ancient lunar tongue. The walls fell away, and the mist cleared. Celia stood at the exit, smiling. You passed the trial of the mind. They reached the plateau as dawn broke, though no sun rose, only a soft silvery glow that brightened the sky. There, at the center of a circle of stones, stood the Gate of Silver Dawn, a towering arch of silver and moon, covered in ancient runes that flickered like lightning. Before it stood the final guardian. It was not a person. It was a creature, a great silver lion with wings of light and eyes like twin moons. It stared at Aeloria and spoke without words, its thoughts entering her mind like a wave. You carry the blood, but do you carry the will? Aeloria stepped forward, clutching the key. The lion's voice filled up. To open the gate is to bring back what was lost and awaken what was buried. Are you willing to pay the price? What price? Everything you know, everyone you love. The path forward cannot hold the past. Choose, Moon Princess. Now she thought of her father, of the palace, of the life she had always known, and she thought of her mother's voice, the gate, the darkness rising. I choose the future, she whispered. The lion bowed its head. Then rise, Aeloria, daughter of light. Open the gate. She stepped forward and placed the silver key into the heart of the arch. It turned with a click like thunder. The sky split open. Aeloria stepped forward, the silver key turning slowly in the heart of the arch. A low rumble echoed like the breath of the world itself, and the gate began to shimmer, becoming translucent, like a veil of moonlight. As the archway widened, she felt a pull, gentle but irresistible, drawing her forward, one step then another. The air changed, becoming lighter, sweeter, filled with the scent of jasmine and when she crossed the threshold, the world shifted. Gone was the dark forest and the stony plateau. Before her stretched an endless landscape of silver hills and crystal lakes, where the sky was alive with swirling stars and distant moons. She was in the Moon Kingdom, the realm her mother spoke of, a place where light and shadow danced in eternal harmony. Beside her, Celia bowed low. Welcome, Princess. This world is both your heritage and your destiny. Aeloria's breath caught. Everything sparkled with magic. The air hummed softly, and even the grass beneath her feet shimmered with dew-like-scattered diamonds. But why was I hidden away all those years? She asked. Because the darkness feared your power, Celia said. Here you will learn to wield it. They walked toward a distant palace, its spires twisting like streams of light into the sky. Along the way, creatures of moonlight and mist greeted her, glowing foxes with eyes like stars, birds that sang with voices like bells. Aeloria felt hope rising in her chest. But her journey had only begun. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath their feet. From the shadows beyond the hills, a black storm brewed, swirling clouds of nightfall and rage. Celia's face darkened. The enemy knows you have returned. We have little time. From the depths of the storm, shapes emerged. Twisted figures cloaked in shadow, eyes burning with cold fire. The darkness was coming. Aeloria tightened her grip on the silver key. I will protect our world, she vowed. Celia smiled faintly. Good, because soon you will face the greatest battle of all. The dark figures swirled closer, their forms shifting like smoke and broken glass. They whispered curses that chilled the very air, voices like distant thunder rumbling beneath the silver skies. Aeloria stood tall, the silver key glowing bright in her palm. Beside her, Celia raised a hand, weaving delicate threads of moonlight into a shimmering shield. We must retreat to the Palace of Stars, Celia urged. There you will meet the Council, the keepers of ancient knowledge who will help you unlock your true power. The two fled across the shimmering hills, the shadows clawing at their heels, tearing leaves and light aside. The palace, a fortress of crystal and silver, rose before them, its gates emblazoned with lunar sigils glowing with soft blue light. Inside, the grand hall was filled with figures cloaked in robes of starlight, wise beings, whose eyes held the wisdom of countless moons. One stepped forward, an elder with hair like frozen light and a voice like the wind through silver leaves. Princess Aeloria, they said, your arrival has been long awaited. Aeloria bowed. I have come to claim my birthright, to open the gate, and to protect both our worlds. The elder nodded solemnly. The darkness you face is ancient, the shadows of the void. They seek to consume the Moon Kingdom, and by extension, your world as well. They gestured to a glowing map etched in light, showing the realms connected by the gate. The seal was broken when you returned. Soon, they will attack the gate itself. Aeloria clenched the silver key. How do I stop them? The power you carry is a gift, but it is also a responsibility. You must master the three blessings of the moon line: light, wisdom, and courage. Only then will you be strong enough to stand against the void. Celia stepped forward. I will train you. Aeloria nodded. I'm ready. Days and nights blurred as Aeloria learned to wield her power. She practiced conjuring light that could heal or burn, mastering the art of reading the stars to foresee danger and summoning courage in the face of despair. Each trial tested her spirit, sometimes leaving her exhausted and doubting herself. But the Council and Celia were by her side, guiding her through. One evening, as the moon rose high and the sky painted itself in silver and indigo, Celia brought her to a hidden chamber beneath the palace. There, resting on a pedestal, was an ancient crown woven from moonlight and stardust. This, Celia said, is the crown of Selene, the symbol of your lineage and power. Only the true Moon Princess can wear it. Aeloria reached out, and the moment her fingers touched the crown, a rush of visions flooded her mind. Memories of past moon queens, battles fought, sacrifices made, and a destiny that stretched beyond time. She placed the crown upon her head, and light burst forth, bathing the chamber in brilliance. Far away, beyond the horizon where shadows churned, the void stirred. Its generals, dark creatures with eyes like dying stars, prepared to march on the gate. Among them was Morvath, the Shadow Lord, a being of nightmare and cunning, whose hatred for the Moon Kingdom burned hotter than any sun. Find the princess, he snarled. She is the key to our victory. Bring her to me, alive. His minions howled and vanished into the night, spreading darkness like a plague. Standing upon the palace balcony, the Moon Princess gazed at the two moons hanging low and bright. Her journey was only beginning, but she knew one truth with certainty. She would not let the darkness consume her worlds. The silver key pulsed softly in her hand, a heartbeat shared between her and the moon itself. The palace was alive with whispers and preparation. The council convened day and night, poring over ancient scrolls and star charts, while Aeloria trained relentlessly. Each lesson brought new revelations about her powers and the burden she bore. One morning, Celia approached her with a solemn look. There is something you must see, Celia said. A place hidden even from the council where your mother left a message for you. Intrigued, Aeloria followed Celia through winding corridors, until they reached a secret door, etched with runes glowing softly under her fingertips. Inside, a chamber bathed in silver light awaited. In the center stood a pedestal holding a crystal orb, swirling with mist. As she touched it, the mist parted, revealing a vision of her mother. My beloved daughter, the voice spoke, warm and clear, despite the years. If you are watching this, then you have taken the first steps of your destiny. You must understand what you fight and. The vision shifted, showing a time long past. The Moon Kingdom flourishing in peace, bound to the mortal world by the gate. But darkness crept in the shadows of the void, ancient enemies jealous of the light. To protect you, I have sealed away a part of your power in the orb of Lumina, her mother explained. It contains the strength of our ancestors, waiting to be awakened. Aeloria reached for the orb, and a surge of energy flooded through her, filling her with warmth and clarity. You are not alone. Her mother's voice continued. Within you lies the legacy of all who came before. Trust in yourself, and the light will guide you. The orb pulsed softly, and Aeloria felt a newfound confidence bloom. But as the vision faded, Celia's voice interrupted the silence. While you grew stronger, the enemy also He gestured toward the window. Beyond, a shadow moved, a dark shape slipping silently across the land toward the gate. As Aeloria rested, an urging knock shattered the palace calm. Celia burst into her chamber, eyes wide. We've been betrayed. The council's trusted advisor, a scholar named Lyrian, had revealed their secrets to Morveth, the Shadow Lord. He plans to strike before you are ready. Aeloria's heart raced. The time for training was over. We must defend the gate, she said firmly. Gather the council. We ride at dawn. As dawn's silver light touched the horizon, Aeloria led a band of warriors, moonlit knights, and star magis toward the gate. The ground trembled beneath the approaching army of shadows, twisted creatures born of night and malice. The air crackled with magic and steel as battle erupted. Aeloria fought fiercely, the silver key glowing bright in her grasp, casting beams of light that sliced through the darkness. But the shadows were relentless. Just as the enemy breached the outer defenses, Aeloria raised the orb of Lumina high. A wave of pure light burst forth, pushing back the shadows and sealing the breach. As the dust settled, Aeloria stood amidst the ruins of the battlefield. Though victorious, he knew the war was far from over. Morvath still lived, and the shadows would return. But now, with her power awakened and allies beside her, the Moon Princess was ready to face whatever darkness lay ahead. She looked to the twin moons glowing overhead, their light a promise and a guide. Her journey had just begun. The battle had been won, but victory felt hollow. The palace was quiet now, yet the weight of looming threats pressed heavier on Aeloria's chest than ever before. In the days after the fight, she retreated to the Chamber of Reflection, a place of crystal mirrors where the light of the moons danced in endless fractals. There, she sought answers to the questions that haunted her. Who truly was her mother? What had been taken from the Moon Kingdom centuries ago? And was she destined to be a savior or a sacrifice? Celia joined her in the chamber, holding an ancient tome bound in silver leather. This is the Chronicle of Selene, Celia said. It holds the true history of the Moonline. Aeloria traced a delicate script with trembling fingers. The pages spoke of a time when the Moon Kingdom and the mortal realm were one united by magic and trust. But greed and fear fractured that bond. An ancient enemy, the Voidborn, had risen, creatures born from the shadow between stars, intent on extinguishing all light. The first Moon Queen had sacrificed herself to seal the gate and imprison the Voidborn beyond. But the cost was great, Celia said softly. The Moonline was cursed to bear this burden forever. Aeloria felt a chill. A curse. Yes, each princess inherits not only the power but also the pain to knowledge that their life is bound to the fate of the gate. The revelation shook her. She had imagined herself a bright hope, destined to bring light. But what if she was just part of an endless cycle of sacrifice? Late into the night she wandered the palace gardens, moonlight cooling her flushed cheeks. The silver key pulsed faintly at her side. Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft voice. You carry a heavy weight, princess. She turned to see Celia approaching. I do not pretend this path is easy, Celia said. But the light inside you is stronger than you know. Aeloria looked up at the stars. How do I know I'm not doomed to fail, to lose everything? Celia smiled gently. Because you have a choice. The past may guide you, but it does not chain you. Far from the palace, in the shadowed depths of the void, Morvath convened with his dark council. The Moon Princess awakens, he hissed, eyes gleaming red. Her power grows, but so does her doubt. One of his lieutenants, a creature with serpentine wings and a voice like cracked ice, stepped forward. She is vulnerable now. We strike at her heart. Morvath's cruel smile spread. Then we will make a question everything: her friends, her purpose, her very self. Back in the Moon Kingdom, Aeloria's closest allies began to show cracks under the pressure. Whispers of betrayal spread like wildfire. Friends questioned her decisions. Secrets slipped into the shadows. One night, Aeloria found a message carved into her chamber door. Not all light is pure. Beware the shadows within. Her heart pounded. Who could she trust? In the darkest hour, Aeloria sought solace beneath the great moon tree, its silver leaves rustling like a lullaby. She closed her eyes, holding the silver key close, and whispered a prayer to the moon. A soft breeze stirred, carrying a warmth that wrapped around her like a cloak. A voice answered, not from Celia nor any mortal, but from the moon itself. You are my daughter. You are my light. Remember this when shadows fall. Tears slipped down her cheeks, not of fear, but of newfound strength. The palace corridors, once filled with harmony, now echoed with cautious whispers. Aeloria could feel the tension weaving between those she had trusted most. Her closest companion, Lyran, a skilled star mage with a quick smile and a fierce loyalty, had grown distant. He avoided her gaze, retreating into his studies and muttering cryptic warnings. One evening, Aeloria found him in the ancient library, staring at a dusty tome with haunted eyes. Lyran, she said softly, What troubles you? He sighed, running a hand through his dark hair. The Shadow Lord's influence is more insidious than we thought. I fear there's a spy in our midst. Aeloria's heart clenched. Do you suspect someone? Liron hesitated. I don't know, but I've sensed strange magic. Dark enchantments meant to twist our minds. Aeloria nodded grimly. We need to find this traitor before they tear us apart. Meanwhile, Celia's serene mask cracked. One night, under the light of twin moons, Aeloria confronted him. You've been hiding something, she said firmly. Celia's eyes flickered with pain. I feared telling you, but I was once bound to more. I escaped his grasp, but not without scars. Aeloria's gaze sharpened. Why didn't you say so before? Because I feared you would doubt me, he admitted. But I swear my loyalty lies with you now. Their bond deepened, built on fragile trust but growing stronger with each shared secret. In the shadowed realm, Morvath's fury grew. His spies reported Aeloria's every move. He crafted a cruel plan to steal the Heartstone, the missing fragment of her power hidden deep within the mortal world. Without the Heartstone, Aeloria's strength would falter, and the gate would fall. Morvath sent his most dangerous assassin, Vesher. Determined, Aeloria gathered a small band. Lyr and Celia, and Melis, a fierce warrior with fire in her eyes and a secret past. Their journey led beyond the Moon Kingdom, through portals woven with starlight, into the mortal lands. Forests tangled with ancient magic, and cities where myths lived beneath the surface. Every step was fraught with peril. Dark creatures stalked them. Illusions tried to tear them apart, and Aeloria grappled with her own doubts. But the group's bonds deepened. Through laughter, shared stories, and moments of quiet courage. Deep in the forest of Ilaris, hidden beneath the roots of an ancient silver oak, lay the Heartstone, a gem that pulsed with life and light. Aeloria reached out to touch it, but a guardian spirit emerged. A towering figure woven from light and shadow. To claim the Heartstone, it intoned, you must face the truth within your own soul. Aeloria closed her eyes, and visions overwhelmed her. The pain of loneliness behind the palace walls. The fear of losing those she loved. The temptation to surrender to despair. But also the warmth of friendship, the strength of hope, and the light she carried from the moon itself. Opening her eyes, she faced the guardian. I am ready. The spirit smiled, dissolving into a cascade of light. The Heartstone lifted, joining the silver key in her hand. Just as relief flooded the group, a piercing scream shattered the calm. Vesher appeared, dagger drawn, striking at Mal. But Liron stepped between, taking a blow. You've betrayed us. Aeloria gasped, eyes wide. Lyron's eyes flickered dark for a moment, then cleared. It was the magic, he whispered. Morvath's curse trying to claim me. Aeloria rushed to his side, determination hardening her resolve. We'll break this curse together. With the Heartstone reclaimed but the enemy's reach deepening, Aeloria and her allies returned to the Moon Kingdom, stronger but more aware of the battles yet to come. The war for the gate was far from over, but the Moon Princess was no longer just a girl hidden behind palace walls. She was a beacon of hope, a light in the encroaching shadow. The moonlight spilled softly over the chambers of the Palace of Stars, but inside, the atmosphere was heavy with worry. Liron lay pale and still, the dark magic of Morvath's curse clinging to him like shadowy chains. Aeloria sat beside him, clutching his hand, her heart a tempest of fear and hope. We can break this, she whispered. Celia nodded solemnly. But it will take all your strength and trust. The council gathered, ancient scrolls unfurled on a great silver table. Aeloria learned that breaking the curse required a ritual of immense power, weaving of moonlight, friendship, and courage. The ritual would bind their souls together, drawing out the darkness from Liron's heart. But such magic is risky, warned the eldest council member. If any falter, the curse may consume us all. Determined, Aeloria prepared for the ritual, calling Melis and Celia to stand with her. The ritual began beneath the great moon tree, its silver leaves shimmering like stars. As Aeloria chanted, light poured from her and her companions, weaving around Liron in a cocoon of brilliance. For a moment, the darkness fought back fiercely, twisting their fears and doubts against them. Aeloria saw visions of lost friends she might never save, the kingdom consumed by shadow. But she held firm, reaching deep into her own heart. With a cry, the darkness shattered, and Liron gasped, eyes clearing. He smiled weakly. The trial forged unbreakable bonds between them. Liron's loyalty deepened, his magic stronger and purer. Melis revealed her past, a princess from a fallen kingdom, driven by vengeance but learning the power of forgiveness. Celia, once haunted by his past servitude to Morvath, found redemption through his unwavering devotion to Aeloria. Together, they formed a family bound by trust and shared purpose. Far away, Morvath's fury ignited like wildfire. He unleashed a devastating assault on the outskirts of the Moon Kingdom, seeking to distract Aeloria and her allies. The skies darkened as shadow beasts ravaged the land. Aeloria rallied the kingdom's defenders, leading with courage and light. The time was near. Aeloria stood once more before the gate of silver dawn, silver key and heartstone glowing in tandem. Beside her stood her companions, ready to face whatever darkness lay ahead. She felt the weight of destiny but also the warmth of hope. The final confrontation with Morvath was coming, and she would not face it alone. The Moon Kingdom trembled beneath a sky choked with swirling shadows. The final battle was upon them. Aeloria stood at the forefront of the army, her silver key and heartstone blazing like twin suns. Her companions Lyran, Salir, and Melee stood unwavering by her side. The gate loomed behind them, a shimmering archway holding back the Voidborn realm. Morvath's forces surged forward, a tide of darkness intent on destruction. Magic and steel collided in a symphony of chaos. Aeloria's light cut through the shadow beasts, weaving patterns of brilliance that healed and destroyed in equal measure. Lyran's star magic struck with precision, while Melis's fiery swords cleaved through the enemy ranks. Celia's silver wings spread wide, shielding allies and striking foes with graceful power. At the heart of the battle, Morvath awaited, a towering figure wreathed in shadow, eyes burning with hatred. "Foolish girl," he sneered. "You cannot stop the void." Aeloria stepped forward, heart steady. "I am not alone," she declared. "The light of the moonline will always shine." They clashed, light against shadow, hope against despair. Morvath's power was fierce, but Aeloria's will was stronger. With the heartstone and silver key united, she unleashed a radiant blast that shattered the darkness. As Morvath's form dissolved into nothingness, the shadows faded, and light returned to the skies. The gate sealed itself, protecting both worlds once more. The Moon Kingdom rejoiced, but Aeloria knew her journey was just beginning. With peace restored, Aeloria ascended the throne as the true Moon Queen. Guided by wisdom, courage, and light, she vowed to protect both realms from darkness. Beside her stood her companion's family forged through trials. The silver key gleamed, a symbol of hope, legacy, and unending light. The Moon Kingdom basked in a new era of peace. Under Queen Aeloria's gentle reign, the land's floor silver flowers bloomed brighter, and the stars shone clearer than ever. In the palace gardens, beneath the great moon tree, Aeloria stood, surrounded by her closest friends, Celia, Lyran, and Malice, now forever bound as her chosen family. The silver key rested on a velvet cushion, its glow soft but steady, a reminder of the trials, sacrifices, and victories that shaped their destiny. Aeloria lifted her gaze to the night sky, where twin moons cast their serene light. She smiled, knowing the journey had changed her forever, not just as a princess but as a guardian, a beacon of hope for all worlds connected by the Moon Gate. And as long as the light endured, so too would the promise of a brighter tomorrow. Thank you for following the story of the Moon Princess and her silver key. May your own light always guide you through darkness.